Hey, everyone. Welcome to the latest podcast episode of the Terry Knight Show. I have the amazing Bill Faeth here. I've been wanting to speak with him for a long time. Amazing individual, great real estate investor, has multiple businesses. I think he's a very great influence in the STR space, and I'm very excited to have you on the podcast, man.
Thanks for having me, Terry. I really appreciate it, even though it's 8 a.m. on a holiday morning. I'm a morning guy, so I'm all good. And I love the white tie, by the way.
Awesome. Appreciate it, man. Yep, words just for you. But let's just get started though, Bill. Let everyone know who you are, where you came from, to kind of go from there.
I'm a born again redneck. I live in Nashville, Tennessee. Came from the most redneck town in the country, Bakersfield, California. I was actually born in Long Beach, baptized in the Crystal Cathedral, if anybody has ever seen that before. Raised without a father, only child, single mother, and she kind of got me started into entrepreneurship when I was a teenager, selling t-shirts out of her 1988 trunk of her Ford Tempo. And I've done a lot of things. I've done 27 startups, built a couple of large companies, and realized I didn't really like large companies. I didn't like having hundreds of employees. I had 718 in one company at one time, and kind of re-architected my life over the last 7 to 10 years, as opposed to just chasing startups and building companies and trying to make money. And it's really been a fundamental change for me, and it just kind of coincided with my transition. Really, I was doing commercial. I've always done startups, but I've always invested into real estate as well. But I used to hold long term, like most people that got into STR. I did some commercial, some lead certified construction, that type of stuff, but really migrated all into STR, and I've kind of shaped everything around my desired outcome of retirement, and STR has been a huge component of that for me.
Cool. Yep, that's a fact, people. You mentioned STR. What's your portfolio looking like as far as you're building out your business on that
I
side?
mean, I only invest into high yield luxury properties, and what I mean by that, don't think I'm buying $2 or $3 million single family homes. I have a sweet spot of typically around $650,000 to $900,000 homes. I've only paid over a million for one single family home, and I ARV them, I renovate them, I create after renovation value. My wife is a designer. I buy homes that have some unique aspect, and a canvas, most importantly, that we can build on, we can paint. I think one of the big mistakes, Terry, over COVID is people have just bought whatever's available to get into STR, and now they've got this vanilla box. Even if it's designed well inside, there's nothing. There's really no traffic drivers, no attraction. It's just a nicely, designed home. I don't look for that. I mean, if you've seen my most recent property in Montana, it took me 2.5 years to find that property, literally every day on STR Insights when it came out, Zillow, Realtor.com, looking all over an entire state. And the story goes that I didn't even know this. When my wife and I walked in on December 21st of last year to see it, I walked straight from the driveway into the front door, and I saw these huge windows in the backyard. Remember, this is in Whitefish, Montana, so it's like 4 feet deep in snow. And I see this river, and I saw that in about 150 yards past the end of the river is a man-made, or not a man-made, a beaver-made dam, like a natural dam in a lake called Stillwater Lake. And about 20 miles behind that, I see the snow-capped Canadian Rocky Mountains. My wife posted a picture on Instagram. I just stood there for 5 minutes. The next day, we were flying to Scottsdale to look for properties in Scottsdale. And we're on the flight, and she's like, "Hey, what'd you think about the upstairs?" I'm like, "What do you mean?" She's all, "Tell me what's upstairs." Thought about it. I don't remember. She thought, "That's because you didn't go up there, you idiot." I'm like, "I don't give a shit. All I care about was the river and the views and the proximity and the landscape. That's what I'm selling. That's what I'm marketing." And so one of the things that I look at, I think, Terry, is for me is when I see a property, and I use Zillow more than anything else on Zillow. I just like the interface better than Realtor.com or anything else. When I see something, I'm looking at everything else around the property and what's unique. It's really hard to find things in a property today unless you're buying tree houses, with walkways between them and stuff like that. And I'm looking at how I can paint that canvas. And I think that's the one lens that's different about me, or I should say different from a really sound investor versus somebody that's new or not experienced. They're just buying the house. So, Kenny Bedwell and I on STRonomics talk about all the time that it's proximity and views, and then what ability do you have to make that property unique afterwards? And it doesn't matter if it's single family home, multifamily, boutique hotel, whatever that is. John Hodge from my super team and I flew out to Montana about a month ago to go look at a fishing lodge in Dillon, Montana. Absolutely incredible. And this is kind of the second point, and then I'll get back to you real quick, is when you're investing, you got to think about time. And people don't estimate their time before they put something under contract or in purchase. We found an incredible investment that we probably could have taken this, 15-room motel, if you will. Really, it was a lodge, but the lady that had bought it was turning it into a wedding venue, had pretty much gutted everything, which made it worse. So it was going to be $1 million purchase, probably $750,000 to $1 million. Let's just call it $2 million total project. The problem is it would take us 12 to 18 months to reposition. And we don't have that amount of time. Even though we could reposition that $2 million investment to probably close to 5.5 to 6 million on the income approach after an additional 18 to 24 months, that's too long of an investment for us. That's one thing I really strive to educate the industry and the newbies is the time from close to cash flow is absolutely critical. And you have to factor that into your acquisition process, your performas, and your overall strategy.
Holy crap, that's right on the mark. For those who are listening, Bill, like, how would you find these properties? Like, how would you go about finding these good locations?
I mean, I know what markets I'm looking for because I've worked with, if anybody knows who Kenny Bedwell is from STR Insights, he was in my mastermind. My mastermind helped build, I shouldn't say build, he built that platform. Everybody thinks I'm a partner in it. I'm not. It's just that our mastermind members are his accountability groups. So the ones that he went to get that was the built-in user groups and the beta, for his tools before he launched. So I've seen it since September of 21. Right, when it was just spreadsheets before there was even a user interface. And I look, I use AirDNA. I also will use Rabu and Mashvisor to get an overarching view of all the data. But for me, it all starts with STR Insights. STR Insights, Kenny fundamentally changed how we search for markets. You can't do that on any AirDNA or anything else. We just arbitrarily choose. Someone goes to Facebook today and then they say, hey, where's the best markets to invest in? And the same BS is posted by everybody. It's just where you own, whether you're struggling or not, because nobody wants to say that they're struggling, right? On social media. It's one of the reasons I'm closing on the sale of a property tomorrow is because that property is struggling, right? So I literally wake up in the morning about 4 o'clock. I did it this morning, and I'm actively looking for a property right now because I'm closing on one tomorrow that's going to have $170,000 in 1031 funds. So my morning routine is wake up, take a sip of water on my nightstand, grab my phone, which I know we're not supposed to do, make sure I don't wake up my wife, turn the brightness down, and I'm sitting here laying like this looking at fucking STR Insights. What market should I invest to? And the beautiful thing, if nobody's used it, I don't want to turn this into a sales pitch, Terry, but it's the only platform that we as investors can search the entire country by gross ROI. So I'm not making the decision, oh, hey, I'm going to go look at this, the Poconos or Indianapolis or whatever, just because I like it. That's irrelevant if we're making a financially driven decision. So why would you not want to have the data to start the process by looking at the highest gross ROI by bedroom count? So I don't really look at the entire country, but for me, I like national parks. I like outdoors. One of the things I love about Montana, I have a property under contract in Bozeman, Montana too. And whitefish, just so everybody knows, don't follow me into whitefish, Montana. It is almost non-investable. It's non-investable, so this property that I paid $1 million for, actually $975,000, Terry, STR Insight said it would do about $100,000. That's 50% below what I would invest. I want $100,000 for every $500,000. I want $200,000 in revenue for every $1 million. But It's not 100% financially driven. It's lifestyle driven, but I also believe I can do 175 to 200 because of the proximity to it's 40 feet to the river. It's just the most majestic place. I have all the marketing opportunities in the world. Bozeman, Montana. I shouldn't have even said that, to be honest with you, because it's too early, but now people are going to flood to Bozeman. It's Montana in the right spots, Missoula, the Bitterroot, Whitefish, specifically Bozeman. It's the Silicon Valley of outdoors. It's a year-round market if you can get a permit in Bozeman. I just happen to be buying new construction that's already permitted, and that's like a unicorn. How did I find it? Off-market deal. It wasn't even listed, and not wholesaled, but just having those connections with agents. I've been working with the same agent based out of Bozeman for almost 3 years, 2.5 years. It'll be 3 years next in June, in like 3 weeks. And you know what? I take her to dinner. I've been to dinner with her and her family 3 or 4 or 5 times. I've closed on a property with her. I stay in contact on social. I call. So that way, when something awesome pops up, I'm one of the guys at the top of her list. Not because I'm Bill Faeth, the Build STR Wealth guy or the conference guy or whatever. It's because I bought something and I stay in contact.
That's a good point. I think a lot of people don't have that type of relationship when they have look for properties, right? Having that.
It's all about relationships and being memorable. Hence the white tie and the black shirt, right? So, I mean, it's you sent me a text or, even in the invite, hey, I'm Terry. Remember, I'm the white tie guy. I get it, right? So I'm the big guy. And, I try to wear clothes, at least in conferences and stuff like that make me stand out. Everybody else is suited up. I'll be the sport coat guy and wear, change 7 sport coats in a day at the STR Wealth Conference. Or I'm wearing sweet shoes. I wear my Jordans or my Gucci shoes or whatever. Things to just stand out. So the same thing happens in relationship building. The same thing has to happen in our property development as well.
Yep, I totally agree with you on that one. So proximity and views, and then STR insights, I agree upon. Kenny's amazing. Love the product.
And those proximities and views, Kenny, or the proximity and views, Kenny, there's a Freudian slip. Terry is really the one thing I want to share with people when you're looking at a property, when you set foot in it. One, you're going to make a lot of mistakes if you're buying sight unseen. And I think there was a ton of people that did it, specifically professionals during COVID. I don't think so much anymore because the market's tightened. But when you walk in or set foot or get out of the car, whatever it is, when you see a property, don't care what type it is, you have to be thinking about how you are going to market this property. That's the superpower, not my superpower. That can be your superpower, but you just have to change your mindset. So I went and saw this property in Kentucky with Tony Bower, who's the agent up there. She's the expert in the Bourbon Trail, right? And I got out of my truck and I had John Hodge, the bank whisperer, with me. He wanted to go see this because he was calling bullshit on me, Terry. He's like, yo, this property, all the stuff says it's going to do 125. How are you going to do 200? And he saw the canvas painted when we were there. I looked at 7 acre property. I looked at everything outside. I looked at the out parcels. I looked at the lake. I went to the garages before I went inside because the cabin is the cabin, right? And I can redecorate it. I can move walls. I can add a bathroom, whatever. But these garages, the lake, the burn pit that was going to turn into a fire pit, all of those things are what's going to shape that property before I get inside. So I can't emphasize enough. You have to either immediately see or be able to creatively understand how you're going to market that property. And I'm not just talking about on the OTAs. I'm talking about your off-platform marketing, which is 10 times more important today than it's ever been, specifically if you're an investor since 2020.
Exactly. No, I 100% agree upon that. Can you go more in depth as far as the cash on cash flow when you're dealing with a property? Like you're closing on one now. You mentioned you can make 175 to 200,000, but what would someone look for to make sure they can get that return each year, or for whatever you recommend, basically?
Yeah, I think there's the number one, you need to identify why you're investing into a property. There's 3 buckets, in my opinion. Bucket number 1 is somebody that's already invested and says, hey, I'm going to put this onto the platforms and just try to make a few bucks. Maybe I can pay my mortgage. That's bucket number 1. Bucket number 2 is why I bought the Montana property. It's 50%. I apologize.
It's all good.
And bucket number 2 is 50% lifestyle, 50% financially driven. I'm trying to build out my retirement plan, that desired outcome that we talked about. I briefly talked about this in my session at the conference. And it's the properties that me and my wife want to retire to once my little life event, once my youngest daughter graduates from high school. But it's also an investment that's got a cash flow for the next 5 years. And it needs to continue to cash flow into retirement. So it's that bucket number 2 is 50-50. Lifestyle, financially driven, right? So it should be profitable or at least cash flow. If it can be the lifestyle asset and really cash flow at 15-20% cash on cash, that's awesome. Then the third bucket is only one. It's financially driven investment. That needs to get as close to, if it's under $700,000 for me, it's got to be 30% cash on cash. And a lot of people say, whoa, are you shitting me? Yeah, I heard you say that all the time back at your conference in 2021, but there's no way you can get, really 2022, a year and a half ago, there's no way that you can get 20% cash on cash. I'm going to tell you right now, I'll just run through the numbers. I didn't close on that property in Kentucky. I backed out of that deal because the owner was a you know what. But anyways, that was a $750,000 purchase. It's going to do $200,000 to $210,000 in revenue. Let's just leave it at 200. Carry costs literally were going to be about $6,000. That's $72,000. 200,000 minus 72,000. I'm not real good at math. I dropped out of UCLA. But let's just throw another $10,000 in miscellaneous expenses on top of that. Let's just round it up for easy math to 80 grand because I'm not real smart. That's $120,000, Terry. So let's drop that back down. Bill's an idiot. He's way off. Let's pull that down to 100 in cash flow. That's a 24-month cash on cash return. That's 50%. 50%. Those deals exist, but they're not in Gulf Shores. They're not in Destin. They're not in the Smokies today. They're not in Broken Bow. They're in the non-traditional markets that people have not ruined by investing into them, right? And that's why I'm kind of apprehensive to talk about these, but I'm more committed to serving our industry, and that's where people should be investing into Kentucky. But once again, you got to buy the right location. You got to buy the right property. You got to understand how to be able to market. And you got to know your true skill sets above and beyond what you get out of Air DNA and STR Insights. I mean, I tell Kenny all the time, I love your data. I love talking about this, and that's my starting point. But if everybody just lived off of data and you didn't look at the intangibles, Tom fucking Brady would have never got a start in the NFL. And I'm not a Brady fan, but he's the GOAT of, quarterbacks, right? So, I mean, there's more than just data that's out there. You can bleep that out if this is a G-rated podcast. I apologize. But you knew what you were getting, didn't you?
All hands on deck, Bill.
But here's the deal.
Worries,
So
man.
baseline for me, $500,000, 100 to 125,000. I'm really, for a $500,000 property, I'm looking at 125 grand. That cash on the revenue kind of is on a sliding scale. Is the bigger the property you get, the percentage drops in the cash on cash return. But if you're buying right, the cash flow increases, right? So when I get to $1 million, you would think, oh, 250, 125 times two $500,000 properties. It's much easier to buy two $500,000 properties and stay at that $125,000 each range than it is to buy $1 million property and do 250. Because $1 million property, most people are probably going to be looking in today's market at 165 to 185. I'm just trying to hit 200. So that's a significant drop. That's a drop of $50,000 in cash. But that all ties into my overall plan, right? So I literally follow and practice what I preach. This is not for sale, but this is my Bill Faeth success planner, right? And I use that to build out and architect my life and then to audit my daily decisions. So I would rather have $1 million property doing $185,000 in gross revenue than two $500,000 properties that are doing $100,000 in gross revenue, probably even $115,000. And that's like a $20,000 to $30,000 delta. People say, Bill, you're crazy. No, I'm not, because my time is worth way more than that extra to $20,000, $30,000. That's because I'm in a different financial position today than I was 5 years ago. 5 years ago, I had those two $500,000 properties to be able to make more cash. I have pared my portfolio down. My portfolio size is right sizing right now, right after COVID. It is not growing. So there's a reason. Once I put Kentucky under contract, I also, to buy, I put Beach Mountain, North Carolina under contract to sell. Even though I backed out of Kentucky, that's why I'm now under contract in Bozeman and now looking for another property in the Bradenton, Sarasota area. And people are going to say, Bill, why are you looking in Bradenton, Sarasota, as opposed to farther south, Marco Island, Amelia Island, Naples, Fort Myers, all the because that's where all of you guys are going. I go where you do not.
That's a good point. Go the opposite way.
100%.
Oh man, dropping bombs left and right. So Bill gave you an outline on how to find a property. It's pretty straightforward. The important piece that you also recommend was don't rely on the OTA. And that's what I love about you. You have to market differently. Can you kind of go in more in depth as what you think your processes for that is?
The process for marketing?
Yeah.
Man, it's really simple. It's not overly complex. Number one is email marketing. Build your email list. StayFi is a must. Arthur Coker, send me an affiliate check someday. I'd love it. I don't get paid to promote StayFi. It's the best platform in our industry that allows us to capture more than one email, meaning the booker, per guest. I've got over 3,000 emails because I started using StayFi. If I didn't, I'd probably have like 500, 600 emails. So it just amplifies the number of emails that you get. Well, those guests aren't my customer. That's the mindset. No shit, but they're highly qualified because they already stayed in your property and had an incredible time. So they become a highly qualified lead, right? So the next part is outside of email, then you got to do something. You got to start emailing them. And yesterday on my Superhost Sunday, I don't know if you caught that or not, but it's on my YouTube channel. You can go to Build STR Wealth in YouTube or in my Build STR Wealth Facebook group. I drafted out the funnel. I actually taught how to do it. And there's this transition, Terry, that happens when the guest checks out. And that's the transition where they go from being guest to a super highly qualified lead to bring them back again. And one of my sales mentors, John Boyens, taught me that it's way more important to extract more revenue share out of an existing customer's wallet than it is to acquire a new customer. So that's a different mentality. It's a different phrase than it is at six times more expensive to acquire a new customer than it is to retain an existing customer, right? So there's this transition, and in my workflow, I have the guest checkout in red, and like the last two communications prior to checkout, those are in red. The next two after checkout are in red. So there's a reason that I send a checkout text at 4 o'clock the day of checkout. So they're gone at 10 a.m. Cleaners have already cleaned. I've already found out if there's damage, blood on linens, whatever. And then I text the guest at 4 o'clock. Hey, Terry, thanks for staying with us. I really appreciate great guests like yourself. They're few and far between. Emoji, emoji, emoji. Happy face, happy face, happy face. Would love for you to come back and stay again or at another property. Here's a link to check out our other stuff. BTW, leaving you a 5-star review. That's 5, and then the emoji star and then review, right? I send that at 4 o'clock. Most guests are driving, at least from my vacation rentals, which are all drive-in, nothing fly-in, and very few locals. So that they typically don't leave a review till late that night or even the next day once they've gotten home. Almost nobody in that kind of turnover period for us. So, but that's also the transition to send them to my direct booking website, not my sales page in this case. If everybody hears me preach, and I do about having sales pages, but that transition is really personal. It's via text. I'm using emojis. It's just like me and you would text, or I would text my wife or my BFF or whatever. And it's very informal, but I'm introducing them to my portfolio. Because if Terry had a great experience with me in Arizona, he might want to have a great experience with me at the beach or in North Carolina or Montana or my lake property, whatever it is, right? So, but that all starts at the very beginning when Terry requested the book or Terry did book. And so I kind of went through this whole workflow, and I would highly recommend anybody listening, just jump over to Build Short-Term Rental Wealth on YouTube and catch the whole thing. It's called the guest transition, because that's something that nobody focuses on. And if we miss that, Terry, it makes the post-marketing of a guest checkout to our existing guests way harder, because we haven't built that rapport. We haven't built trust. We're just a property management company in their mind. They think this is an investment. And it's the small things that make all the difference in the world. It's why I sign off my messages as Bill Faeth. It's why I host as a personal host. I don't host as a professional host. It's why in that transition period, I transitioned to Bill and Bria, the last two messages, which is my wife. Our picture is together on my hosting image on my direct booking website. We are the co-hosts together, husband and wife. These are our family homes. Even the ones I co-host are our family homes. And then those last two messages, morning of checkout, and the text comes from the Faeth family, from Bill, Bria, Gentry, and Oakley, my two daughters. And I have this communication because you know what, that creates connection. I'm a father and I'm a husband, I'm a father. And I talk about, and I mention in my messaging all through the stay that we hope you love our family vacation home. This is our family home all the way through. I get more respect in the house. I get less damage. And I'm setting the tone to earn the right to be able to market to them to where they will pay attention. That's the key, because you will open an email from somebody that we have a relationship with. You will pay more attention to my emails now after me and you doing this together. I will pay more attention to yours, right? It's just the way that it happens. It's natural human ability. So email's number one. That's a long answer for email. Number two, text message marketing, because nobody does it. If you weren't at the STR Wealth Conference, anytime you get a decent booking, pull this little thing out. It's called a video camera and say, hey, my name's Bill. Thanks for booking Sunset Point. You're going to absolutely be blown away and love it. We've got it fully loaded. You don't need to bring all this shit because we've already got it for you. I know you're not going to arrive for 37 days, but this is my cell phone number. I just wanted to put a name with a face. Feel free to text, call, because I'm going to be your personal concierge. Send that to them 10 to 15 minutes. You'll see this in that workflow as well, and text it to them. And make sure you say Bob, Terry, Bill. Do not make a generic message and then automate it, which you could in Market My STR, but I wouldn't do that because now we're starting that personal relationship. Nobody does what I just showed you. Nobody. Out of those 1,000 people at the conference, I'll bet less than 25 to 50 people have even tried it once, right? Bill's fucking crazy. That doesn't work. The fuck it doesn't. That's like the best thing that I've ever implemented from a hospitality standpoint, and the ability to stop the strict cancellations within 48 hours, right? I've never had anybody cancel when I've sent them a video. I've never had anybody leave a 3 or a 4-star review when I've started the process through that relationship. Because not only does it stop the scroll, it stops the cancel, but it's also making a personal relationship, because they can see me, they can see my personality, they can see how committed I am to them, right? And immediately most of them will send a text message, and it's like, OMG, never had I've stayed at a ton of Airbnbs. Nobody's ever done that before. And I'm like, that's right. That's the type of hosting I'm going to give you all the way through your stay, right? So those little things with the messaging on the front end, because most of these guests are getting it through email. They're not logging into the app on Vrbo or Airbnb or whatever, right? So it's earning the right for me to communicate with them after that transition happens. The next one, social media, obviously, but only if you, and I don't do any organic social media for any of my properties. Zero, just FYI. I don't post on my Facebook page. I don't post on my Instagram. My wife once in a while will post to our lake house because that's her favorite place. We do have a Facebook page because I have to have Facebook pages to be able to run Facebook ads. I run Facebook ads and I do buy sell trade groups in every market. So those are my 4 cornerstones from my marketing perspective. And the problem is, Terry, is I have, MailChimp or ActiveCampaign or Constant Contact for email. I use Simple Texting for my texting. I had Pipedrive for my CRM, ActiveCampaign. I had Hero Post, Hootsuite, any of those platforms for social media. And that's why I've started Market My STR specifically for our industry, so we can have everything under one platform to where you can do all of that and much, much more. And I use lead pages for all of my sales pages, my direct booking pages. Now I use Market My STR, and I can do unlimited sales pages. So one of the other things that I think is really important from a marketing perspective is when you have the big Shrimp Fest, when you have Bottle Rock in Napa, big concert, you have Lollapalooza coming to Chicago. Just here in 10 days in Nashville is the biggest event we have every year. It's Fanfare. It's the CMA Music Festival. You should be sending traffic to a custom page for that type of stuff. 1, don't send them to the OTAs. 2, don't send them to a booking website, a WordPress site that has all your shit on it. That should be a custom landing page that says, welcome to CMA Festival. My name's Bill. I'm going to be your personal host. Little 30-second, 90-second video on the page. Then show your property. Then show the amenities and why they should book. Show the proximity so they can walk to downtown Nashville, all this type of stuff. With our new platform, Terry, anybody can build something like this in less than like 30 minutes. It's funny. Chris and I are on this Wednesday. I know this won't air before then, but are doing a how to build a full-blown direct booking website in less than an hour live. We're building it live in Market My STR. That's how easy it is. There's no reason to spend $1,500 to $5,000 to build a website that you cannot manage on the back end. No coding, no nothing. It's literally STR direct booking sites for dummies, because we had to do it for me because I don't know how to do all that stuff.
That's pretty cool. Can you go more in depth as far as your all-in-one platform for marketing for STRs?
Yeah. So basically, what it is, it's we've taken everything that we need as short-term rental hosts and a lot more. You can host your entire direct booking website on it. You can build it. There's over 350 templates. I actually put my templates. So you get my email templates, you get my website templates. This template Chris and I are building, which will be my Montana property, which we haven't done yet. Literally will be from scratch, and then that will go into Market My STR, and in the Superhost program you get access to all my stuff, so like everything that I build. It's basically what it does is it eliminates the need for you to pay or host a direct booking website. It's integrated with Zapier through to Google, QuickBooks, StayFi, OwnerRez, all this type of stuff. So all your information flies in. It has a built-in CRM, so you don't need to buy that. You don't need to pay for lead pages or unbounce. You don't need to pay a web hosting fee. You don't need to pay for MailChimp, ActiveCampaign, Constant Contact for email marketing. That's all in there as well. You don't need to pay $99 for simple texting. That's in there. Text marketing as well. For your direct bookings, you get live chat. You don't need to go pay $45 a month for live chat, which increases conversions by over 20%. And you turn it off when you're not available, and it's a lead conversion. When you want to host videos, you don't want all that shitty YouTube stuff for the next video. We host all your videos unlimited. You get unlimited contacts and email. You get a ghost phone number, so that way you can give a phone number to your VAs and all that type of stuff. I'll use that with your guests. You what else do you have? Oh, you can do reputation management. Google My Business. You can do almost everything through this platform. There's 2 different price points. There's 3. The big one you don't need to worry about. Right now, up until June 4th, you can get in for under $100. $97 a month for all that stuff. That's like $400 to $600 of technology that you're replacing under one roof. It's super easy to use. We have the absolute best customer support that you've ever seen through my partner, Scott. We have 5 dedicated customer support reps every Tuesday and Thursday at noon. Live Q&A support sessions. Who the hell does that? Nobody. You want to get your whole direct booking site off of WordPress and into Market My STR. Once you've signed up, I would highly recommend doing the white glove service. That team will literally get you up and running in an hour. It's $250. Don't spend 2 days, 3 days trying to set up your whole system. Just pay the $250. They'll have you up and running in an hour. Then you want to bring your whole website in. Just schedule a $75 literally consulting call, and our team, our VAs, will do all that for you. So it's incredible. And we're starting to build out marketing campaigns and all that type of stuff inside of it as well, because this is the weak point. And I'm not saying this to sell or really to promote. It's the weak point in our industry. People either don't have time, which is the adult version for my dog ate my homework, right? Because if you're making $1 million investment, you better create time, or it's too hard, right? Those are the 2 biggest things of why people do not do marketing. We're fixing that problem, both of them, with Market My STR.
$97 a month, guys. Check it out.
That's only till June 4th. It goes up to $190. So there's a host and a super host. The biggest difference is the host platform does not have automation. So you can't create the email and text message combined type of automated funnels. The $197, which is a super host, does have automation, and it's unlimited everything. So you can do unlimited properties, unlimited sales pages, direct booking pages, all that type of stuff. Those prices each go up by $100. The 97 goes to $197. The 197 goes to $297 on June 4th after our launch is done. It's been up for 2 weeks. We already have hundreds of people that have joined because it's so inexpensive. And that's been one of my missions, Terry. It's like you said, I'm everywhere. I'm doing a lot of stuff. I do a lot of stuff because it's hard right now. And I know the right things to do. And I want to share those with people that aren't sure or not really in the groove of what to do from a business standpoint or a marketing standpoint. And I could easily be charging $497 for the $97 program easily. I just want to make it accessible. I want thousands of people to be able to do what I do, because that's one of my superpowers is the digital marketing side. And this will make it super easy and much, much less time consuming for them.
Holy crap. So you guys came up with a big solution. That's amazing. Guys, check it out. I have the link below in the podcast and YouTube channel. Wow. That's a lot of information there all at once for like 35 minutes.
On a holiday morning, Terry.
On a holiday morning, exactly. One thing I like about you, Bill and Mike, you guys created this STR Wealth Conference. I remember going to it with, Gil and Vanessa. We met you guys. We had a great experience networking, hanging out with you guys personally as well. You guys have a new one coming up next year. Damon John from Shark
People
Tank.
Shark Tank, Damon
Shark.
John. Yep.
Yeah. Can you go more in depth as far as what to expect on this next conference?
Yeah. So number one, I would expect an extra day. We haven't announced that yet. You're the first person that'll hear about that publicly. It's if you go to strwealthcon.com, strwealthcon.com, you can see what's going on. It's February 5th through the 7th. It looks like we're going to add a day on the 8th for a special track. We've tripled the size of our venue. We're not in the Wild Horse Saloon anymore. We've gone to the Music City Center. We've got Damon John as our keynote speaker, who is not going to do this is really freaking cool. He's not going to get on stage and do a keynote presentation. He's awesome at that. But he's going to sit down with me and Mike, and we're going to do a Q&A fireside chat, and we'll be taking questions from the audience. 99% of those people have never had the opportunity to speak to Damon John. There's also some other special celebrity guests that will keep quiet that'll be making some guest appearances. It's not my buddy Marty from Cobra Kai and Karate Kid. He's one and done. He's out. But the other thing is we will have multiple tracks. We're going to have breakouts this year. So we will have multiple tracks. So the main room will seat 3,000 people. We're going to have a huge vendor area. Probably have about 50 or 60 vendors this year. You have to. I mean, look, at the end of the day, a lot of people think Mike and I are crushing and making money off of this event. I'll tell you what, our budget for this thing, just so people know, is going to be somewhere between $1.6 million to $2 million. And that is freaking scary. Super scary. So that's why we had to run the event at the Wild Horse the first 2 years cheaply to where we could make some money, bank it, to be able to afford. So we didn't risk, $1 million of our own money. Look, we're not, Ryan Reynolds that can go lose $12 million on buying Wrexham Soccer Club in 2 years. The breakout sessions are going to be huge. That's different. They'll be running concurrently. The speakers, we will have probably like 20 to 30 new speakers that we're actually working on right now. Some titans inside of our industry. We'll be opening up some other industries, still the real estate industry, but some other forms. There's most likely going to be a new operator track to where if you're new, like you've only been in and really what we classify as new is like COVID, if you've been in for 2 years or so, then you really don't know the industry as it is. The industry was different in 2013 through February 2020. And that's why I'm not freaking out about Airbnb bust. All these people that got in, everybody that uses the Airbnb bust hashtag are ones that probably got in during COVID, right? And they were in the gold rush, and they didn't even have to figure out how to pan gold. You just stick your pan in, get a little bit of dirt, and wow, look at the nuggets that are there. Now you got to work for it, which we had to do prior to the end of 2019. Man. So the extra day, it's going to be off the charts. I'm very lucky. I used to own a DMC, which is a destination management company. And Robin McCamey, who was my director, really my business partner in that, who used to be the president of MPI. If anybody lives in that meeting world, that's Meeting Professionals International. She is running the event for us this year. It's just way bigger of a scope than could have ever imagined. right? This is going to be a big deal. And honestly, Mike and I are, I'm going to turn this into 10x if anybody knows what that is. And this is the first year to take that step to building this into a 10x. And that's why we're bringing in people like Damon. Mike McAllowicz, gave me that incredible shield right there. He was awesome. And Damon John will just be the next level up. And then there'll probably be one or two other surprises that'll be there. But at the end of the day, Terry, I think it's about the focus on education. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to have not only to grow it, because we know that we'll go from 1,000 to 2,500 to 3,000 people when we have the available. We've already sold over 700 tickets. And we haven't really done any promotion outside of just who was at the event, right? We probably won't even start that for a couple of months. But the education is really the most important component for me. So there's going to be some smaller interactive breakout rooms that I keep saying that because I'm so excited about this. The only problem that's going to be is FOMO, because you'll have to choose between those three at one time, right? But and I'll just give you an example. It could be, we could have a design session going on, and I'm not talking about like what we've done at the Wild Horse. I'm talking like interactive. Like we've got, drywall, and we've got textiles and textures, and we have women on stage, multiple women that are actual designers, and you're walking through and learning how to do stuff. Like one of the things, who knows how to put on a mural? Murals are popular, right? I'll tell you, my wife and I made a mistake, Terry, in Montana. We didn't sand a slightly textured wall and the mural fell off. We learned you got to sand the wall down, make it flat, use this type of glue, buy these types of murals. Who knows how to paint? I see people doing some amazing things with painting that's not that challenging. People just don't know where to find how to do that stuff. So like you have that in one breakout room. You might have, the Robinsons and Patrick Swintek and Natalie Palmer in another room leading, 5 hours through an afternoon for all the newbies that are out there. And then you might have, Mike and the girls from Level Up Your Listing and whoever, in another room teaching about co-hosting, right? You might have me and Chris doing a marketing track. Whatever that is, that's the thing that I love about being able to expand the conference. We're going to be able to drop just some incredible educational components just because of the size and the versatility that we'll have this next year.
That's definitely leveling up right there. That's pretty cool. Wow.
It's also
Anyone?
kind of scary.
No, you guys will be fine. Again, if people don't know about the STR conference, it's a conference about real estate and STR, like short-term rentals. Whether you're new, right, existing, or your experience, whatever the case may be, it's a great place, I think, in my mind, to meet people like you, network, and learn. Right, you always want to learn as far as when you go into these conferences. So.
That's the other thing that's really exciting is we didn't have the space or the time because of our time constraints with the conference to really emphasize networking and make it effective. Now, because we do have the space, there will be a hugely concerted effort. And I'll tell you, the very first thing we're going to do, I shouldn't let it out of the bag, but you're the first person that's asked about the conference, is we will have dedicated networking, and you will be able to meet your brethren based on geography, which is pretty cool. So we're going to have, the Smokies section, and we're going to have the Broken Bow section, and we'll have the California desert section and the Disney section and that type of stuff. Because we have so much space, which is awesome. I mean, we've got like 75,000 square feet, which is really cool. And it's right in the heart of downtown. It's at the Music City Center, surrounded by Bridgestone Arena and the Omni Hotel, and the Country Music Hall of Fame's right across the street, literally 30 feet away. There's going to be a lot of cool stuff. We'll have breakout parties. This upcoming year, we're going to a whole new level.
Pretty cool, man. Wow. Yeah, for anyone wondering how to get these tickets, I'll have the link below, right? And you guys will kind of announce when those will go live.
Yeah, they're all live. They can just go to strwealthcon.com, strwealthcon.com.
Well, check it out, guys. You won't want to miss it. I highly recommend going to this conference. It will change your life. Definitely.
Just don't wait till the last second. We've sold out the last 2 years, months in advance. Once we get our speakers involved and everything like that, probably in July or August, that we will probably sell out the 2,500 seats within 4 or 5 weeks.
Holy crap. That's amazing results right there. Bill, just one last thing, man. You know everything from A to Z. What do you think what's next for the STR side, the industry, as we're moving forward for 2023, 24, and
I
years to
mean,
come?
I think it's going to be very similar to what it is right now. I think for most people, they're going to think that it's dead, that it's over, all that type of stuff, which I think for those of us that have been in it pre COVID, still recognize that if we do the things that we need to do, we can still make really good money. It's interesting. My number one producing property, Terry, year over year was down like 37% in January and February. It's a beach house. I did $357,000 on a tier 2 6-4 new construction last year in 2022. But now, as I have 1 week left available to book during ultra peak season, which is the last week of July. So if I factor that in at the standardized rate, coming out of August, I will be 18% ahead year to date. So how do I lose that much money in January and February and then come out of August essentially 6 months later, 18% above year over year? It's because I've used marketing to be able to maximize my super peak time. One of the things that people make a mistake with is they don't even think about marketing until times are really bad. I learned from my business partner in Glow Golf, who was the third franchisee into Pizza Hut in 1968, and I call him the half Billy, not because my name's Bill, because he's worth about $500 million, probably more by now. But he was the one that taught me early on in my early mid-20s. Bill, you only want to do advertising and marketing when traffic is high and times are good. People think you should be doing it when times are bad and things to try to fill stuff. So I do the exact same thing. I ramp up my marketing to be able to sell out like summertime at the beach at super premium rates. Last year, that number one property was getting about $1,900 a night. I'm averaging $2,100 a night. So that's an extra $200 a night over 100 days. That's another 20 grand. It's actually, I think, $20,800 or something that I've made off that property because I'm dynamic pricing. It's not exact, right? I still have a $17,000, $18,000 a week open, right? That's the thing that becomes really important. I can't do that if I'm not doing email marketing, if I'm not running Facebook ads, if I'm not doing buy sell trade groups. And I really want to emphasize that I think what's coming is what we're seeing right now. It's going to be pretty slow. It's going to be pretty static. I mean, we've been waiting on a recession for over a year now, like 15, 16 months. Hopefully we're in it and we'll start coming out of it relatively soon. But if it gets worse, then I think our rentals will get worse. That means we have to really take advantage of peak time. And most importantly, if you have multiple properties, even if you only have one, you need to audit your portfolio. Your cash on equity is something that very few people talk about. There's a reason why I was under content by it. I was under contract in Kentucky, as I said earlier. For $750,000 property, they'll do over $200,000 in revenue. There's a reason I was selling a property for $625 that I paid $525 for in Beach Mountain, North Carolina, because I only did like $86,000 on a projection of 125. It's okay to fail. That's really not a fail. I would fail if I did nothing about it. But by selling Beach Mountain, 1031ing, so I actually turn a profit on that investment over the last 13 months, rolling that into what was going to be Kentucky, now going into Bozeman to be able to generate more cash flow, higher cash on cash return is smart. But a lot of us fall in love with our properties and we don't look at them as a financial tool, just like a piece of paper, a piece of stock, just like the coffee shop or the restaurant or, your plumbing business, whatever you're doing. We need to make prudent, financially driven decisions if we're trying to attain, a financial goal at the end of that rainbow. That's what I talk about, Terry, about how to architect your life. It's really challenging to make those decisions if we don't have that goal at the end of the rainbow.
Oh, well said. I think that's good insights for the STR industry. Bill, what's so everyone knows, because you're amazing in this whole industry. What's your best tools that you like to use for your portfolio?
Market my STR. No, that's a pitch. I'm not.
Well, that is one of them. No,
So I
that's going to be one
use
of them. But
I use OwnerRes for my PMS, and then I overlay Hospitable on top of it simply because of the messaging. So I don't use anything else with Hospitable. The main reason I love OwnerRes, just so people know, is like for my direct booking pages, they have the booking widget. They have the highest converting widget, right? So that's just the box. For those of you that aren't familiar, the A-frame, where people type in their information to book. All the other stuff on all the other PMSs on the direct booking sites suck. And that's why we don't get very many bookings through them. So you have to have better pages. So OwnerRes, Hospitable, Ecobee, Ring cameras, Schlagen code locks, Pentair app for my pools and that type of stuff. I use Market My STR, which replaced lead pages, active campaign, simple texting, pipe drive CRM, all those types of things. I have a whole list. I can't remember everything. I know I'm missing stuff. I've got the water thingies. I think that's a Ring product where if my hot water heater starts leaking or something like that. StayFi, that's a huge one for routers. What else is there? I think that's pretty much it from a technology standpoint.
the dynamic pricing, Price Labs
Oh yeah,
sleeves.
Price Labs. I'm a huge fan of Wheelhouse. I don't just say things because there's no affiliate links or anything like that. Um, I will. I've been testing Wheelhouse. I love Price Labs, but I will probably switch to Wheelhouse once Andrew has that integrated with OwnerRes. So just understand, people out there, I don't almost never ever share affiliate links. I talk about products like StayFi because they are good products. Now, I would never use StayFi's email marketing. I'd look through that type of stuff and all that crap. But StayFi is the product, and look, it's a I can't even say the word a ubiquitous product. Any of us could do our own StayFi, but we didn't, and we haven't, right? And so the ability that's probably one of the most important ones that's out there. The ability to just capture all of those emails is huge from a marketing perspective. But yeah, I like Price Labs. Rank Breeze. I love Kelvin Ma. Use Rank Breeze. There's no way that I could do what I do from a listing optimization standpoint without Rank Breeze. There's some other ones that are out there, but they're really price driven and price focused. I'm not really up to speed on if I like those or not because I'm just not a price conscious, kind of host. I'm trying to maximize every dollar. One of the things I think one of the metrics that I would like people to really pay attention to is their occupancy rate versus their revenue. So too many people focus on occupancy and ADR and they think that's going to calculate out to their revenue. What you really need to do is understand that if you're in the 80th percentile, 90th percentile of occupancy, that you're losing money. And if you're in the 50th or 40th percentile in occupancy, you're losing money. And in my opinion, what I've found is that if you're in that 60 to 70% occupancy with maximum rates, that's where you are going to make the most money. So I look at the amount that I'm charging over what I should be charging in my properties during ultra peak season, like that week that I have available, and which is I just looked it up. It's a 16,000. It'll be a $16,800 payout for that week. You know what? I can take my family and stay there. I would never do that because that is ridiculous amount of money. But because I'm able to price so high, right, in the weeks around that, it makes up for that 1 week. So I'm not worried about having if I missed a $16,000 week, would I be disappointed? Yes. Will that happen? Absolutely not. Because I can break that down into 2-3 day stays at, $7,000 each and then sell 1,500 a night, to one on the front end or the back end on my upsell process. I'm not worried about that. But my point is when you optimize your pricing and you really nail it, it gives you a lot more freedom to not be tied to your occupancy rate. So my sweet spot is 64% occupancy. I do not want to be at 70%. I do not want to be at 80%. I don't want to be at the Smokies during COVID at 90%. And you think about all those people if you're one of those people right now, it's literally Memorial Day when Terry and I are recording this. It's the first day of ultra peak season for the summer. It was really last Saturday. But if you've been sold out for the summer for longer than a month, it's only because of your mindset and you left thousands of dollars on the table. Unless you have a shitty property, then you're not going to sell out anyways. And honestly, people will take that the wrong. Bill just said I have a shitty property if I'm not sold out. We really need to stop thinking here and start thinking here and be honest with ourselves of how in demand our properties are. That Beach Mountain property, Terry, that I'm closing on selling tomorrow, it's beautiful. My wife did an incredible job, probably one of her best design jobs, and she's a legit interior designer. We have a pool table, we have a game room, we have a fire pit, we have all that stuff. But you know what I don't have there? A hot tub. You know what I don't have there? A deck that will support a hot tub, right? I could have spent $6,000 to $8,000 on the deck. I could buy a $12,000 hot tub. It was going to be a $2,000 delivery with a crane and having to go through the neighbor's yard and all that type of stuff. So if I take 6 plus 12 plus 2, that's like 20 G's. Do I want to put $20,000 in cash into an $85,000 a year producing property? Negative. No. I'm going to pull my 170. I'm pulling my chips off the table, and I'm going to play baccarat or slot machines. I'm getting off of that, 21 table, the blackjack table. I'm going to go play poker, right? To where I have control. If I play poker, I have control over what I can do. So that's where the audit becomes absolutely critical.
Cool. Well, you hear it first, guys. Bill dropping bombs. Bill, for people that want to reach out to you, what's the best way for them to do that?
In my name down here in the bottom left-hand corner, you can see it's Bill Faeth 73 on IG. Every place else, it's B Faeth, Faeth on TikTok, Facebook. I mean, the number one place I would say is get into my Facebook group, Build Short-Term Rental Wealth Facebook group. We have the best group in our industry. It's not because of me. It's because of the quality of people and my moderators and my admins that help me keep it clean and the best group available. So Bill Faeth 73. You can also email me, bill@billfaeth.com. If you're new to me, I guess the one thing I'll tell you is I'm the most accessible coach that's out there. That's something I pride myself on. So I'm happy to help anytime, spend about 50-60% of my time helping people for free.
100%. You hear it first, guys. Bill, I want to thank you so much for joining the podcast, man. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. It's been awesome. I really appreciate it. Happy Memorial Day.
Happy Memorial Day. All right, everyone, stay tuned, and we'll check you in the next episode.
See you guys.